What's up? This video is here to help you feel better if you're around other people and to feel good even if they don't feel good. So to give you a little bit of context, maybe you are coming to this video from my email newsletter, then welcome. Thank you for subscribing to my email newsletter. If you haven't yet, then go do that. So the context is, I had a coaching session with one of my clients, and she said, I'm afraid to fall back into my own self. And so I asked her, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, I have like some old patterns, and here's an example. And the example was, if I'm with people, with a group of friends, for example, and then they all get angry about something, right? About like what the politics are doing, or it doesn't matter. And then she said, I feel affected by it. And some people would say now, oh yeah, you're just like, sensitive to their energy and there's not much you can do about it. But what that would mean is that your feelings are created by someone else's feelings. This is not the case. I'm not gonna go into why this is not the case and cannot be the case ever in this video, but it's not the case. So then how does that actually happen? Why do we often feel similar to the people around us? Or if they feel angry or upset or whatever, then it does something to us. So in that example, we explored that, and she basically judged them for getting angry about something that there's no point of getting angry about. So when I heard that, I had an idea, and I asked her, if you look at children and how they behave, right? Like they make a mistake sometimes. Let's say they run around and they fall down and then they scream and it hurts. Does that affect you? And she's like, no, not really. Why is that? Because it needs to happen for children to learn. This is how children learn. This is how they learn to be more careful, right? They run around and they look backwards and then they either trip over or run against something, and maybe they even bleed and it hurts, but it's part of their learning process. And as adults, we recognize that. Hopefully, there are also like overprotective parents who take away all the chances for the children to learn, but it's another story. So my client was like, yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. And then she already understood, oh, okay. So what you're pointing to is that when they're adults and let's say they get angry about something and there's no point to it really, it just creates their own suffering, then this is like the child falling down. They need to go through that experience in order to learn, and they don't learn to, walk more carefully or run more carefully, but to use their mind more carefully, more consciously. The difference between the child who runs around on the playground and falls down and an adult who judges the government or other people for not doing what they think is right is it might take longer to learn that lesson. Right? A child falls down once and there's already like, oh, okay, I need to be careful. And then it makes another mistake, falls down again, and it learns pretty quickly. Adults, sometimes they need to suffer for years and then they're ready to learn the lesson. But why is that new perspective so helpful? Because now my client has a way of thinking in a situation that earlier or before made her feel down and kind of just like also angry because she saw what those people are doing. They're all together complaining about something, and she didn't know, like, if I say like, hey, let's talk about something else, that doesn't really work. But I also just don't want to leave the situation all the time. So yeah, what are other options? And one option is to think, oh, they need to learn that, right? This experience for them, it's a form of suffering. If you complain about something, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but that's a form of suffering because it doesn't feel good to complain. So that was that shift, to really trust that whatever someone goes through is necessary for their development to learn something. And how long that takes is not up to you, right? Some children, they need to fall on their face 5 times to start being more careful. And for some others, it happens after the first one. And then I'm going to give you a little bonus insight that we also talked about in the coaching session that relates to the same kind of situation. It's a thought that I became aware of in this coaching session that I have that really helps me. When I'm in a situation where people are suffering around me because they're judging something, they're complaining, they're getting upset about, something that's outside of their control, it doesn't bring me down. And part of that reason is very often that I'm like fascinated how we humans are. And I'm also looking at myself and I'm really happy that I don't do that I don't complain, not so much anymore. And I see my own growth in that. Not in a way of like, oh, look, I'm better than you, but just like, oh, I'm better than I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. It shows me my own progress that I've made. An example is, recently I was at the airport and something, there was a problem, and it came over the speakers, and a lot of people were like, got super upset, and they stood up and tried to do something, and I was just reading my book. And I saw the difference between their response to the message and my response. And I liked my response a lot better. So that made me feel good about myself. Yeah. All right. Let me know if that video was helpful, if you got my point. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I feel like I wrote this email newsletter, and then I was like, okay, I can't explain this whole thing in the email, so I'm gonna make a video. But the email itself was really powerful, I feel. So I'm sending out 1 email a month only. Maybe soon 2 a month, we'll see. So if you're not on the list, go on my website, get yourself on the list. Also, if I have any openings, any giveaways, anything, then the email list is the first place I'm gonna share it. Yeah, that's it. Have a beautiful day. Speak soon. Peace.